since Caitlin Clark's detractors are aware that everything has changed. This picture gives them nightmare fuel. Let me clarify. They believed they had Caitlin under control. She was having trouble. Without her presence, the Fever was struggling, and she was out of commission. They believed that Diana Taurasi's prophecy about reality finally coming true was happening. They were getting into their little arguments, and there was a bloody scent. However, the victory in the Fever's Commissioners' Cup changed the course of events. No one anticipated it, particularly ESPN, who completely embarrassed themselves. I will address them shortly. For Caitlin and the Fever, this victory changed the course of the season in 3 significant ways. If we've learned anything from this video, it's that the more success Caitlin achieves, the more people are against her and the more severe the Fever gets. After the game, Caitlin said, "Just wait. It will turn out to be a prophecy." Let's go straight into what transpired, how the haters responded, and what lies next. But first, celebrate the Fever's victory by leaving a trophy in the comments section.
Win.
To begin with, this is what supporters of the Fever anticipated before the beginning of the season. But almost no one anticipated entering the finals of the Commissioner Cup. The Fever was predicted to win the title at the beginning of the season. The well-known free agents were brought in. "We run this league, and you can pound sand if you don't like it," was the motto of their Now You Know campaign. Naturally, they also had Caitlin Clark, who returned fired up and eager to step up her game, and they got off to a spectacular start, destroying the sky in front of 2.7 million spectators. However, things became complicated when Dana pulled a Peter Gibbons from the office. Caitlin suffered a 5-game injury. The hate speech inquiry began, and she decided to quit her job, yet kept receiving a salary check. The following game was Gladiator Night at Gainbridge, where MMA Mabiri and UFC JC took their best swings at Caitlin as the referee essentially offered them advice. Just when we thought everything had returned to normal following Caitlin's historic comeback against the Liberty, then during garbage time versus the Storm, Caitlin suffered an injury that prevented her from competing in the Commissioner's Cup. All things considered, the Fever were not expected to defeat the Lynx. So much so that ESPN had one of its largest ever cell phones during the game.
ESPN posted, I think around the 3rd quarter, at least that's when I was notified about it, that the Lynx dominate the Fever to win the Commissioner's Cup. And I took a screenshot. This is totally my screenshot, so I went and I verified this because I just couldn't believe it.
I also confirmed this. They merely altered the title and left the entire game intact. Once it was finished, crazy. In any case, the squad took over and proved their mettle without Caitlin. Before going on an 18-0 run and never looking back, they were down early. They had outstanding individual performances, such as Natasha Howard, who declared her desire to be the MVP, and damn, it came true. That is manifestation in action. In any case, on ESPN, the Fever did an UNO reversal. Without Caitlin Clark playing, they dominated the Lynx in their barn, and the critics went crazy. Not only did the Fever win, but Caitlin also took home a title despite not participating.
The only strike against Caitlin Clark is that she has not won a national championship. And that is the only thing that you can put against her.
You know, the most common criticism of Caitlin was that she had never taken home a title. She was excluded because of that. Despite shattering the record book and leading a mid-team to the finals twice, he was included among ESPN's best 5 collegiate players of all time. They've exploited Caitlin's lack of a championship in conjunction with Angel's championship with LSU, and unrivaled to claim that Angel is better since she's a quote-unquote winner, despite the fact that the entire competition with Angel Reese is pointless at this time because they don't have the same stellar skill or influence. With this Commissioner Cup victory, it is no longer a crutch for the detractors. Naturally though, if you ask the haters, it doesn't matter. In addition to claiming that it isn't a legitimate championship, they also claim that it doesn't matter because Caitlyn wasn't present at the final game. For that reason alone, this is obviously nonsense reasoning.
They did win the final without her, but it's not like she's Nikola Topic or anything. The only reason they got to the final was because she had a 32-point near triple-double against the New York Liberty. They beat the previously undefeated New York Liberty after a Caitlin Clark masterclass in a game.
After playing lights-out ball against the Liberty, Caitlyn was the reason they arrived. Then having a big influence on the match versus the Sun, those who claim the game was rigged. However, get the prize for the saltiest tears.
The real fans, all right? Capitalize the real fans of the W will find out what backroom deal you two made to have the Lynx throw this game. Not even cracking 60 points. That isn't even believable to the most naked eye. When we find out, we're coming for your jobs. Full force.
The selective reasoning, however, is what makes this amusing. These individuals are the same ones who wildly applauded. The WNBA does not have the same format as Angel Reese's unmatched professional championship. Then there is this, though. Angel was absent from the building in addition to not playing in the championship game. However, despite everything, her supporters, and the media celebrated her victory, made visuals to congratulate her on winning a championship, and used them to disparage Caitlin Clark because Angel now had 2 chips to Caitlyn's 0. However, since she didn't participate in the final and it was rigged nonetheless, Caitlyn's crucial contribution to igniting interest in a WNBA intra-season championship with prize money doesn't matter.
Sure, Jan.
But here's where...
However, this is where the haters are truly trembling. Without Caitlyn, the Fever prevailed on the main stage. They defeated the league's top club, the Lynx, who were 14-2 at the time. In their arena, which, given the large number of Fever and Iowa supporters there, is indeed Carver North. It's still a road win, though. It's proof of concept as well. When it counted most, all of the leaders who were called upon at pivotal moments delivered. Natasha Howard was a beast once more. Sophie was really helpful. And when you add that to the terrific seasons Aaliyah and Lexi are having, there's a lot to enjoy right now. Are they flawless? Not at all. Can we voice our dissatisfaction with coaching? Indeed, fans act in this way. However, things are moving in the correct way. Recall how I stated that the Fever's fortunes were altered in 3 ways by this victory. Here's how. It eases the pressure on this team to start. Winning, as they say, makes everything better. Additionally, Sophie recently said that the squad nothing brings people together like a championship. Even if it's not the major one, when they're all on separate islands, they needed to defeat the Liberty and the Lynx, the 2 best teams. Even if I don't anticipate perfection in the future, the swagger has returned. They appear to have survived the storm. Additionally, they are far more dynamic. Now that Arie McDonald is a constant member of the mix than they were with Bonner, the goer. Second, Caitlyn has more time to relax since the edge is removed. Many people, including me, conjectured that the Fever had led Caitlyn to start the season injured and then return early from that injury. Without Caitlyn, the Fever has every incentive to remain in the running for the playoffs for a few more games or weeks. Supporters have already been pleading with the Fever to give Caitlyn more time to recover. And after defeating the Lynx, I believe Caitlyn and the Fever will be more willing to go this path. We saw indications of this strategy right away when the Fever announced a day in advance that Caitlyn would be out versus the Aces, rather than making her a game-time decision. Third, Caitlyn will be playing with a team that is succeeding and winning games without her when she returns fully healed. they can now gradually reintegrate Caitlin, instead of over-relying on her right away and running the danger of re-injury, because A.R. McDonald is here to stay. And as a bonus, being taken into consideration once again and having the capacity to get an upgrade through a trade. Because they smelt blood, the haters find all of this frightening. They all agreed, although anonymously, that Caitlin was having a bad time, and they told her about it.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds.
There are several explanations for why the players guard in the vote for All-Stars. Indeed, I am aware that she wasn't actually ranked 9th. However, when you consider the statistics, the way opponents double-team her every game, and even with ailments and some awful performances that were probably caused by a lingering injury, screams hit job. She can hardly be the 9th best guard.
Clearly love her, the media likes her, but the players can't stand her. 9th best guard in the league. Don't try to give me the excuses of, well, she's been struggling lately, or she missed some games with injury. Come on, this is insanity, and I think it's an activist vote by the women of the WNBA who simply cannot stand her success. It's so dumb and it's so childish.
They appeared to have Caitlin on the ropes once more as they sent a message. However, with the script has been reversed and the detractors are scared. A Commissioner Cup victory means extra time for relaxation and a Fever squad that is confident in performing better. Furthermore, it's not a dread of meeting her. Actually, it isn't at all. They are aware that Caitlin Clark and the dominant Fever squad will garner the most attention at their peak, will keep breaking attendance records, will keep attracting new followers. Many in the league don't want those fans, despite the fact that it violates sense in a lot of ways. This is the reason.
Why?
Ourselves to the NBA, but I do feel like the pay gap would be something that, we could just take a donation around the NBA. Maybe one night y'all don't go to the casinos.
I have something on this though, because it pisses me off. It pisses me off because I don't think there's anyone in America that supports the WNBA more than NBA players.
100%.
Although this video isn't brand new, I believe it clarifies the attitude. The NBA has increased since the WNBA's founding. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been invested with no return for over 30 years. The W would have folded long ago if it weren't for them. Even with Caitlin Clark involved, they lost an incredible $40 million last year. The WNBA appears to be riding a bike with NBA training wheels attached. They remain upright no matter what occurs or how much they sway. Caitlin offered a chance to take the training wheels off of us. But there will be bumps and bruises along the way, just like when you first learned to ride a bike. The casual supporters who aren't there only to unconditionally support women's basketball are the source of the bruising in this instance. They are there to be entertained. And like sports fans, they will be critical of players. Angel Rhee and her boundaries are constantly on display. Let's return to the footage of Lisa Leslie. I believe that many players have two things since they are so accustomed to the league going on regardless of the financial results. First, the arrogance that the league is invincible. A fictitious attitude of entitlement comes in second. In other words, if they do start making money, paying back investors at least partially should come first, not requesting a raise. However, it doesn't appear that the players share that perspective. They are already discussing going on strike, erroneously thinking that the casuals will just return as soon as it is finished. However, they also believe that they can take advantage of Caitlin and her followers and still succeed. Since they preferred the former WNBA when they weren't under as much pressure, I don't believe they care whether they return.
In talking to a source or two, it appears that Bonner was unable to, in some way, shape, or form, just deal with that spotlight, which is white hot, right?
Yeah.
It is just...
This seems to be the situation for a lot of players. Online trolls are the problem if it's not the masses. As well as the heightened scrutiny, however, there is also this.
The worst part of all this is the new fans are sucking the life out of the WNBA right now. It's just the truth. You are right. You are right, new fans. There has never been more viewership because of Caitlin Clark. There's never been more attention. They're doing 40 minutes on First Take about Caitlin Clark. They never did that before, as Monica McNutt called out. You're right. But you know what there was in the WNBA last year and the years prior? There was other storylines. There was joy. There was talk of competition. There was talk of what was actually happening.
Some athletes, supporters, and members of the media just cannot tolerate the constant focus on Caitlin Clark. They believe they ought to receive equally as much focus. Furthermore, it's not so much that a single player gets praise from the press and fans. Who is receiving it?
Interesting, for years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows, and I've said this for years, when the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like.
This creates a dynamic between the WNBA and Caitlin and the Fever. She is aware of it, and her teammates are aware of it. What Caitlin revealed following the Commissioner's Cup victory.
Guys, I just know everybody in the league is sick. They're pissed.
They're ill. They recall that despite her obvious top 3 ranking, they chose her as the 9th ranked guard. The people who are critical are not content. Furthermore, the hatred will just grow as there isn't a reality check that will make. Gamers see the light. The referees will probably continue to permit the harsh play on the court. Given that the Fever is once again mentioned in the title dialogue, Caitlin's comment is probably a prophecy, which portends greater animosity.
We started the year talking about them being a contender for a WNBA championship, and if anything, tonight what I learned is they have what it takes. I mean, they played 5 of their last 6 games on the road coming in here, and if you can win games on the road like they did in an environment like they won in tonight, the sky's really the limit, and this is a team that's starting to get their confidence, they're showing their depth.
After everything they've experienced, the Fever are stronger. As well as they must be, because the quiet civil war in the WNBA is still going strong. It won't go anyplace. Winning is the only way to save Caitlin and the Fever. The 2025 season's inaugural title has been won by the Fever. They must now win the next one. You deserve a prize for staying on this video, so leave one in the comments if you enjoy it. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you later.